let's say you've got some Navy SEALs and you got some hostages, right? The Navy SEALs are going to go in and save the hostages. The Navy SEALs are your core engaged audience, and the hostages, they're in unengaged land. They're more than 180 days, right? So the Navy SEALs want to go and pull them back. They can only carry a hostage on each shoulder. I think about it this way. I try to make sure there's one core engaged address for every super unengaged address I'm going to send to. If you start segmenting where you've got your recent and you've actually got stale segments, try to size it so that you've got 2 to 1, and then the engaged addresses are going to lift the overall open and click rate of that message enough that it doesn't go to spam and still gets sent to those unengaged addresses.
It's all killer, no filler. I'm Eric. This is the D2C podcast, and I'm here with Jordan from Pilot House's retention team. The blue light is on today. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tell. So it's a blue light special. We're talking about something that's really near and dear to what's going on in D2C right now. We want to talk about the best win back, the best ways to win back people through your retention channels. Jordan, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about mostly here is how to take your existing win back and make it better. I'm sure many people here have a win back, probably often the default Klaviyo win back. And there's some problems with it. So I'm going to talk about how to actually make it work. And it's also incredibly simple, my talk today. The last talk was pretty cerebral, like how to make Klaviyo Amazon, right? I figure if I want to maintain my audience, I need to come back with something highly digestible. But anybody here who's watching who has like a win back, I like guarantee with 95% certainty that if you watch this, you're going to have an aha moment. Probably like the same aha moment I had when I was like 26 or whatever, working through this. Yeah?
All right.
So,
let's go.
Number one easiest way to improve retention. Fix your win back, right? This is the easiest thing you can possibly do. Much easier than last week's talk. So, there are 2 inputs into your outbound system, your outbound kind of marketing system. Message quantity and message quality. That's basically it. And so all the things we're optimizing every day are the quality of our messages and how often and how many we're sending to our audience. Yeah.
What about timing?
Yeah. So that would fit under message quantity. So that like you can break it into cadence and frequency, I would say, for certain. So how long you wait between messages is an important part of quantity. Yeah.
And between purchases, like when you decide you need to win them back, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And you know what? I don't go into that in this little deck here, but a great way to think about that, just if you want something that works, is go and look at, for subscribers, look at how many people purchase in the first maybe 90 days, and then figure out when 75% of them have made their purchase, and at that point, put in like just a killer offer to make sure they don't become too stale. You do the same thing with buyers. How many have repurchased in, say, 6 months, and just take 6 months of data, stack it, and find out when 75% have made a repurchase. And at that point, put in just a killer offer because you figure we don't, that way we're only giving it away to 25%. So that's not in here, but there's a freebie. Does that make sense?
Ongoing win-back campaigns, that is then.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's when you would start. So let's imagine, I may have discussed the piece of toast here before. Let's imagine this is a piece of toast with 4 quadrants. Right?
Okay.
We got a recent prospects quadrant, a recent buyers quadrant, a stale prospects quadrant, and a stale buyers quadrant, right? And we want to get the peanut butter evenly across this piece of toast. We don't want any part of this piece of toast without peanut butter. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah. Stale toast. Don't want it.
It's stale.
Dry toast. Yeah. Don't want dry toast.
If you have installed the Klaviyo win-back, something like this is the default win-back. Something like this will be going on. A couple things we're going to discuss here. One is, you're sending your campaigns to your recent. Let's say recent was 0 through 180 days, and stale was 181 through 365. Just chop a year in half, right? You're sending your campaigns for 180 days, and then that's when the click rates get bad, so you stop sending after that. The default one's going to kick in 60 days after purchase. So you're already sending campaigns. And then here, when people get stale, 0. So if we think about message quantity is an important part of winning someone back, here the quantity is 0. So that will not be enough.
Not going to win them back.
You're not going to win them back. That would be a no win back flow.
Yeah. You don't score on any of the shots you don't take. A wise man, quoting another wise man, once said in a sitcom.
Totally. Here's what else you might see. You got your prospects and you got your buyers, right? So prospects are getting campaigns, buyers are getting campaigns. Prospect will trigger a welcome. A buyer will trigger a post-purchase, so like two sides of the same coin there. And buyers will be getting win back, but what about your prospects? Prospects don't get anything. You have these stale prospects. It's nothing on that part of the peanut butter, right? So here's what you'd want to see. Again, just to keep it nice and simple, just spell it all out. You'd want to see, for people who are recent, 0 through 180 days in this example, send them your campaigns. And when you stop your campaigns and someone becomes stale, you start your win back, right? That makes sense.
Yep.
You got your prospects and you got your buyers. So your prospects are getting campaigns, your buyers getting campaigns, prospects getting welcome, buyers getting post-purchase, prospects getting win back, buyers getting win back. Look how happy that prospect is, right?
Yeah, he's ready.
Now, to wrap this little bit up of the segment, that seems amazingly simple. But I would say approximately 100% of the people I audit fail this simple test. Just, are we actually speaking to our whole audience? 100% fail that. So there's likely that if you're listening to this, you can go in there and you can fix that. And actually, when you start speaking to people, like you say, you get a chance to repurchase. Yeah.
Sorry, who are they not messaging then? Who is missing? Who's missing the peanut butter here?
Interestingly, on both of the examples I gave, it would be stale, right? Because everybody recent gets campaigns. So everyone here I'm sure is watching this, they're sending out campaigns, and I gave an example of 180 days. But then the second it went stale, I showed 2 occasions where stale addresses don't get anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if you don't repurchase in 6 months, we don't want you, is what that says.
Do you need to have different content for the stale audience, or is it beneficial to have different content for the stale audience than it is for the warmer audience when you are winning them back? Or is it just basically all the same? You just got to make sure they see it.
Yeah, so the 4 reasons that someone would... First of all, that's what we just discussed right now, was are they even going to see it? We will get to message quality in a second, but first thing you got to make sure is they're all hearing from you. If you think about the 4 reasons someone would be on your list: news, they like your product; deals, they just want deals, or they'll just leave your list; aspiration, they feel that being on your list is making them the better person they want to be; and then eye candy, they just like getting those emails, right? So when people stop reacting to newness, which would be like features and product updates, you start leaning on discounts. So certainly, for stale addresses, it is discounts that work. This is not rocket science, right? Go to those stale addresses and coax them back in with a discount. The nice thing too is if you do it appropriately, like we just discussed, and you load your discounts into a win back that actually gets coverage, you then don't need to put discounts into your campaigns, and people who are actively engaged with your brand, you're not just going to be giving your product away.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Got it.
Okay, this is the other thing. And this is a bit more complicated, so I'm going to go through this piece by piece with you. And
you might have to hold that up a little bit closer. Just
there
so
should be an aha moment in here for us, okay?
Okay, all right.
So stick with me here. We got our recent and we got our stale. Same thing, 0 through 180 days, 181 through 365. Let's imagine we're a brand that sends one campaign per week to our recent. And we've got a default Klaviyo we're going to say 4 messages. It might be 3, whatever. So we got 4 win-back messages, and then we're done. And so just, again, this is going to be super, super simple. This is far, far oversimplified, just to drive it home. We got 26 total messages, and let's say this brand has a 26% repeat rate in that 6 months. And you can go to Shopify and see what your repeat rate is. You're going to find it somewhere around 25%. But here we got 26 messages, 26% repeat rate. We could just say to ourselves, hey, every week there's a 1% chance that one of these addresses purchase or repurchase, right? 1% chance a week. Now let's say we loaded that Klaviyo default jobby and we actually took it from the 60 days and we pushed it to 181. So let's say we actually did this, but we're still just doing the default, these 4 messages. Let's assume that stale addresses buy at half the rate of recent addresses. It's probably even lower, right? Okay? So we got 4 times 1/2 is 2%. We're gonna get 2% of these addresses back in this 6-month period. 2% divided by 26 weeks is 0.0% chance of repurchase per week. So we went from a situation where every chance we had a 1% chance that they would make the initial purchase or repurchase, if it was a still first time buyer initial purchase, to 0.07. They essentially fall off the edge of the earth. Is that an aha moment for you?
I haven't aha'd yet, I have to say.
Okay, well, I mean, here's the core number.
Okay.
We go from a situation where every
I get that.
So these addresses now, because of the way we've changed how we market to them, because we now only send 4 messages to them ever, and then we stop.
Yeah.
We just send 4 messages and say, if you don't buy in these 4 messages, we don't want you.
Exactly. Like static, monolithic. That's like a monolithic, like you just go in, they get 4 messages.
They get 4 messages, and then we walk away.
Yeah.
So I just showed you how, essentially, they now have 10% the chance of repurchasing because we send them 4 messages. I mean, here we sent them 26 messages, and here we send 4. And this is by 26, and then what else are you doing? Oh, we got to squeeze out another message. You squeeze out another message, that ends up being 32, right? Some brands, they do 52 messages, 2 messages a week here, and then suddenly 4, and then they walk away. The take home here is you must actually send messages to these groups. You can't just send 4 messages and walk away. You got to speak to them for the full 6 months.
And Klaviyo by a default doesn't sort of neglects them, is what you're saying. Like a lot of people in their standard campaign setups neglect these really stale buyers. Is there a reason for that? Is it because it can affect your deliverability if you're
Certainly.
mailing too much into the stale? Certainly,
it's built to be safe, right? It's built so that anybody can just go in there, turn it on. It even sends after 60 days by default. It's like you're already sending campaigns in that period of time. It's built so that anyone can throw it up and not blow out Klaviyo's. That's their IPs, right? It's their IPs, it's their domains.
Of course.
They built something that's not going to blow them out, right? But if you've got an agency, for instance, that's running the default Klaviyo, you know that you don't need to work with them anymore because they're just taking the default Klaviyo and throwing it up and getting, like I just showed you, hardly any results. And let me ask you this way to really drive this home. Are you subscribed to any brands?
Yeah, few.
Can you guarantee that you would repurchase in 4 emails?
No. No. Yeah. Aha. No, you wouldn't. You definitely wouldn't do that.
This episode is brought to you by Live Recover, an incredibly effective Shopify app that gives you access to an expert team of live agents who work on behalf of your brand to recover abandoned checkouts in real time. Live Recover is able to reach 6 times more potential customers than email or SMS automations because they have actual humans sending personally crafted messages to anyone who leaves their phone number at checkout. Live Recover doesn't conflict with your email and SMS tools like Klaviyo or Voyage SMS and can lift your top-line revenue by over 10%. Check them out and get a 30-day no-risk trial when you sign up at liverecover.com/DTC.
Do you have to, again, this is maybe more of a nitty-gritty question, but do you have to mix them in? Do you have to mix in the duds with the freshes so that you don't have campaigns that have super low engagement that jeopardize your sending reputation or anything?
Yeah, and we have discussed this. So we will go into steps in a moment. But, but to answer that question, yeah, of course. Have I given you the Navy SEALs metaphor? I like speaking in metaphors.
No.
Then here's the Navy SEALs one, right?
Let's go.
Let's say you've got some Navy SEALs and you got some hostages, right? So the Navy SEALs are going to go in and save the hostages. The Navy SEALs are your core engaged audience, and the hostages, they're in unengaged land. They're more than 180 days, right? So the Navy SEALs want to go and pull them back. They can only carry a hostage on each shoulder. After that, they can't take any more hostages, okay? So I think about it this way. I try to make sure there's one core engaged address for every super unengaged address I'm going to send to, right?
Interesting.
Right? So if you start segmenting where you've got your recent and you've actually got stale segments, you can try to size it so that you've got 2 to 1, and then what's going to happen is the engaged addresses are going to lift the overall open and click rate of that message enough that it doesn't go to spam and still gets sent to those unengaged addresses.
Interesting. It's like mortgage-backed securities. Not quite. It's all AAA.
It's all AAA.
No, it's all AAA. Very appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I like
what
it.
can we do? Wrap it up. What can we do? So, look, first of all, I actually don't build win back. I build reactivation. Different philosophy. Like I said, win back is like there's this win back and then sunset. I'm going to send
It's not an email or SMS department. It's a retention department.
It's exactly. Hey, yeah, exactly. You've been listening.
That's right.
So the thing about win back and sunset is like it shows you, hey, I'm going to send you 3 or 4 messages with an offer, and then after that, I'm going to send a sunset that says, hey, if I don't hear from you again, I'm taking you off my list, and then I suppress the address automatically.
Yeah.
Again, built so that Klaviyo knows, hey,
Yep.
if someone just turns this on, everything's going to be fine, right? Everything will get suppressed automatically. So I don't do that. I build reactivations. So you build 2 reactivations, one that triggers off subscribe and one that triggers off of purchase. One that triggers off of subscribe,
Yep.
one that triggers off of purchase.
There you go.
You take care of that first error, the first flaw. And then your first wait step will be the engagement window, right? So that we got some coverage here from campaigns and some coverage here from automations. Okay, nice and simple. Wow, look how simple that is. But we just discussed that 100% of the brands I audit fail that, right?
Yeah.
So this is the easiest thing you can do to improve your program. Then additional wait steps. Look, just wait 30 days in between. So you're sending a message a month. If you could stack this with 2 messages a month, because I think hitting your unengaged audience twice a month is safe and a good idea, because you're going to get more first-party targeting data. You're going to get more people more in your engaged group. You're going to grow your list. But for starters, let's just put a 30-day wait step. And then just create 1 or 2 messages with a killer discount. So why only 1 or 2? Why not create 20 messages? Because if your Klaviyo or your email program, it's actually your email product. And as a product manager, you want to have as few messages as possible to get the job done. That way you can iterate and improve just 2 messages. So you just create 2 messages and just skip them back and forth for the rest of the year, right? You can go over a year, but careful. Don't try this at home. But we will go over a year, right? Anyway, you just create those 1 or 2 messages, and someone, they're going to get if you only created 1 and they got the same message and it had a killer discount, people are not going to, I don't see it in the data where they go, oh my God, I got this killer discount more than once. I'm unsubscribing now. You don't see that in the data. What you see in the data is, hey, it's the 3rd time that we've told you about this 20% off sale and it's final reminder. That's when you start getting that. Not when once a month you drip in a killer offer. Okay, so you repeat those messages until 365 days after the trigger, right? If the trigger was a subscriber or purchase. And then, this is where the real art comes in. You have to maintain it. You don't just plant a garden and walk away. You got to maintain your garden. So what are you going to do? Well, you have to make sure your overall email click-through rate stays above 1%. That's your email, your campaign, and your flow clicks. Keep the whole thing above 1%. It's nice and safe. Like you said, adjust your wait steps. Is 30 the magic number? No, right? And you make those changes trying to get this really nice overall click-through rate. Exclusions and frequency. You want to control who's in there. Like Miles Davis, don't play the butter notes, right? So what are we doing with bouncers, non-clickers, never openers, whether or not they've been active on site, whether or not they've started a checkout, right? You kind of just control what's in there. And when you control what's in there, you improve the quality of the audience, and it affects this kind of overall engagement that you're trying to achieve. Finally, you split test the messages. Last slide. So, again, we want this to be easy. This is the easiest thing you can do to improve your program. Just look, test on the subject line. It's the easiest test you can possibly make, right? Second, work on dollar off versus percent off. Perfect example, $500 suit, 10% off. No one gets out of bed for 10%, but $50 is $50, right? So this is huge leverage for you. finally, yeah, the hero. Just make sure that it's a good-looking email. If it's a good-looking email, the second above the fold, it's appealing, there's a higher chance they're going to even read your headline, right?
And at least you're ticking off that eye candy qualifier,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Your whole email program should be visually stunning, right? Can never lose. You're like, are you on like the Huckberry list?
No.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And also
Huckberry.
they're HTML emails. The technology is very simple, but it's just long and so much going on, beautiful, great content, that, you know, I'm on it. I've never purchased from them. And I'm just like, I love the list. So, tactics, like front end load the offer. You'll see this every time. If you make sure that you're not blah, 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 blah offer, like front end load it everywhere so people see that.
What's in it for me? Answer that right away.
Yeah, totally. Where am I? What's in it for me? What do you want me to do? Right? Dynamic blocks. We talked a lot about that. I'm not going to even discuss that right now. You can go back and watch the last one ad nauseum. But try some dynamic blocks in there. And hey, product marketing. So look, you've got these 1 or 2 emails. They're going to get them over and over again. If it's just thin, if it's just, hey, here's the % off, it's not going to do nearly as well as if you remind them. Because remember, these are stale. It's been a while since they were in your welcome. Remind them why you're the best. Put some product marketing in there. And keep in mind, if they click on this and you've built your conversion funnel support properly, that's going to trigger your conversion funnel support, which we've discussed in previous talks, also has product marketing, brand marketing, number of, you know, customers served, all that good stuff. So get them warmed up for that here and hand them like a baton to the next set of automated messages.
Nice.
What do you think?
Rapid fire stuff at the end. I love it. It just the fact that 100% of the brands that we audit are, you know, playing it safe in this way they don't realize and not winning back the people that need win back the most, perhaps, right? They're being left. They're not getting the butter on the toast.
Everybody fails on one quadrant. Everybody.
Interesting. Well, let's get that addressed. Make sure you're mailing your whole list safely. This is not financial advice. Got to end it with that. But awesome. Thanks for coming on again today, Jordan.
Thank you very much for having me, and have a good day.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're not getting the D2C newsletter, you can subscribe for free at directtoconsumer.co. And if you want to learn more about Pilot House's all-killer, no-filler services, take off to pilothouse.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.